Street gospel, light of the temple. Sword swing, killer live from the ghetto. The hood messenger, let them know hell's close. Black burial, the devil in a black cloak.
Yo, what is up? Welcome to the Street Gospel Podcast. I'm your host, Dave One. And this is episode number... What episode is this, Camo?
This is episode 123.
123. 123.
Solid numbers.
You were ready this time.
I was.
You're ready this time. Dope. Hey, everybody, if you haven't checked out episode 122, we had Fernando Payrot on the show. Good young kid, man. Good story. Go check that out, man. He's a good dude, man. What did he say? He was 30 years old, you know, trying to just make his way in this world, change his life. And God really touched him. Good story, man. So go follow him. Check him out. But today we have a guest, and got a little referral for this guy right here. Crazy thing is, I know we've worked together. You know what I mean? We worked together, and we'll talk about that later. But he is first of all, he's a believer. He's a recovering addict. Sobriety 9 years. Congrats. He is a husband, a father, a coach, and a businessman now. We'll get into all that in this podcast, but I want to welcome to the show Mr. David Thomas.
Right on, brother. Thank you.
What's up, bro?
Oh, dude. Living the dream.
Living the dream, man.
Dude.
Living the dream.
That's it.
So I was tripping out because, I was creeping on your Instagram, and I was like, I've seen this guy before. I've seen this dude before. Like, I know I've seen him before, and I don't know what crane pick we've been on. Of course, I work for a construction firm. You worked for a crane company for a long time, and I definitely was on a few crane picks together. So small world.
Small world.
It's a small world. I mean, I tell my kids that all the time because it's like, treat everybody with respect because you never know when you're going to run into them again or who they are, but treat them good. Yeah. That's it. And look at this.
Totally. Especially in the construction industry, man. It's crazy. Like, I ran into this dude. I worked with him on Thursday. And he worked for Edison, and I'm sitting there at the park on Friday. I'm playing with my kids, and our daughters his daughter and my son are sitting there playing together. And we start talking, and he's like, "Oh, I'm in construction." I'm like, "Oh, who do you work for?" He's like, "Edison." I'm like, "Oh, right on, man. Yeah, I'm a crane operator." He's like, "Oh, what company?" I'm like, "Wait a second." I'm like, "Were you just in Long Beach yesterday?" He's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Dude, I was your crane operator." He's like, "Yeah, bro, I was setting the pole." You know what I mean? It's like the next day, It's like, and we're sitting at the park, and we're talking for like probably 20 minutes, man, before like I put two and two together, It's so crazy, man.
You run into people all the time, and it's like it. I love the construction, the workforces that work in the field, all those type of hands-on stuff. It just there's a great camaraderie, right? I think the average person doesn't really understand like the camaraderie you have when you work like a long, hard day, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's you kind of build a bond.
Dude. You have to, man. You know what I mean? And especially like with us in the crane industry, it's so important, dude, because you have to trust that guy that's up in the seat.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the guy pulling the levers, man. It's like if they're an alcoholic or bro, I've been there, strung out, like not sleeping. Like, dude, you're one pull away from killing someone. You know what I mean? And it's happened. I don't necessarily think that it was, drug and alcohol related, but I mean, accidents happen all the time, man. An operator getting out of the seat, his coat hit the swing lever, and he rips some dude off the iron, killed an iron worker. Just unfortunate incidents, man. That's just like, you get complacent,
Yeah.
And it's super unfortunate, but that's like the cool thing too, like with being a crane operator, like we work with so many trades, like you said, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, dude, like we work with iron workers, we work with rod busters, we work with linemen, like, so it's we get around.
Everybody has to be your friend.
Yeah.
They're going to need you sooner or later.
You don't want to build up a reputation of being a
especially
dick,
if it's like a tower crane. Like you don't want to get that guy mad. No. You know what I mean? It's like one guy controls the whole job site, dude. Don't piss him off. You need to take a piss and take a break. Let him take a break. Don't get mad.
First one on the job, the last one off, right?
I know, it's crazy, man.
Brutal, man.
I love that work though, and it does bring the camaraderie. I think like a lot of young guys. I think they should make every young guy either get a job in the trades or go to the military, one or the other. Yeah. I mean, because it really toughens you up.
100%, man. Makes you become a man, right?
Did you start pretty young?
Oh, I did.
Yeah.
I started 16, I started running oil tools for my grandpa, you know.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, 17. I think 17. I started running, my grandpa was in the oil and gas industry, and he had a crane company in Huntington Beach.
Oh,
and
dope.
so I started running oil tools, like running around, picking up parts as like his parts runner. And then once I turned 18, my uncle was like, hey, man, like, you know, he wanted to get me on the crane side, you know. So I got my Class A driver's license. And shortly after that, I got my crane certs and started operating cranes at 18, 19 years old.
Dang.
Yeah.
Making good money.
No business, dude. Too good of money, bro. That's what fueled my addiction for so long.
Really?
You know? I had no business running a crane, man. I knew nothing about it. It's like at that age, you don't really, well, at least myself, I didn't have the real concept of how a crane worked. You know what I mean? And I didn't take it seriously. I didn't care. For me, it was just a paycheck, bro, so I can party. Wow. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't care about my job. I didn't take pride in it. I just wanted, you know what I mean? It was just a job so that I can collect a paycheck and I can go buy booze and drugs, you know? Dang. So, like, that's how it started, you know? And obviously, later on down the line, took pride in it and, you know, advanced in my career. But
did you like it right away?
I like the money.
You like the money.
I like the money. You know, like, bro, I was, so when I started, I was 17. I think I made like $10 an hour running parts, which, you know what I mean? Like that was good, man. I was working 40 hours a week at least, you know?
Yeah.
And then I got a pay raise to $15 when I turned 18. And then it's like, dude, I was, at 19 years old, I was making like $35 an hour. You know what I mean? And we were working, dude, at 19 years old, I made like $175,000. Oh, man. As a 19-year-old, living in a $1,600 a month apartment with one of my friends. So $800 a month, dude. And we were on like a prevailing wage job. Like, dude, I was bringing home like 10 grand every like 2 weeks. I was just buying Harleys, bro. I had 4 Harleys, bought a Mercedes-Benz C63, an Escalade. I had a work truck, dude. My AAA, my auto insurance was like $1,800 a month. Oh, shoot. I would get a paycheck and I'd just go buy a Harley. I had nothing else to spend money. I was so stupid, dude. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. I was such a dumb kid, man. I could have done, you know.
I think we all could say that.
And I could honestly say, bro, it's just God's plan, dude. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I was just talking to my buddy on the way here. I'm like, dude, I just feel like God just wants me barely getting by. Like, he was like laughing, you know. He's like,
it's weird how that happens, huh?
We were talking just about like my goals as like a fitness coach, and my wife and I trying to start our own like sobriety coaching business. And he's like, dude, you're gonna be rolling around, man, helping people in an Escalade. I'm like, dude, I don't think I'm meant to do that, bro. I think God just wants to keep me barely getting by, because he knows, man, if he can just keep me stuck in this, like, you just barely getting by, you know, it's like that I'm gonna be safe right there, you know. Like, I can't screw up, you know.
Yeah.
So
I think maybe he'll do it in increments this time. He won't give it all to you up front. 19-year-old, here's 175,000. Buy whatever you want. But maybe gradually he'll say, okay, if you're faithful in the little things, he'll bless you with more, right? And it just keeps growing and growing. So I think maybe it'll take a little longer than a couple years. But hey,
I got a pretty good story when it comes to finances. So we'll get into that a little bit later. A little bit too.
You mentioned getting in trouble. You're from Huntington Beach. Notorious, it's a notorious party town, and it's notoriously, you know, it's close knit town. Like, everybody knows everybody, correct? Yeah. So I mean, I'm just looking from the outside. If I'm looking from the outside, I know Huntington Beach, been there. I don't surf bodyboard for a little bit, few years, but it seems like it's just like fun, party, and kind of just. If you grew up here, then you belong. If you don't grow up here, you're welcome. But just you better respect our area. Is that a fair assumption?
That's a good way to put it. I mean, back in the day, I mean, it's changed a lot. You know, from when we were kids. When we were kids, it was a lot more localized. You know, and that's how it was, man. Like, it was like, if you were there, and you were one of the boys, then like, you know, you earned your keep, and like, you know what I mean. But it is very tight, man. It is a very tight knit community, and everybody knows everybody. Like you said, it's like, it's just it's very, very local, you know what I mean? So a lot of people, it's like, you grow up, like, a lot of my best friends I met in junior lifeguards, and so it is very tight for sure.
Yeah, I always I like Huntington Beach, and I'll tell you a little story. I think I told Jimmy this story too, but I remember during COVID, right, everything's closed, you know, I live out here, I'm just like, you know, man, this. I'm getting sick of it because I wasn't a COVID guy. Like I was like, I need to live, like, you know. And so my wife needs to get her hair done by her friend. I take her over there, and we're in. I don't know. I think it dropped off somewhere maybe in Signal Hill or something.
Mm-hmm.
So I went for a drive, and I'm gonna go to Huntington Beach. There's a couple bike shops down there. Bicycles, not motorcycles. There's a couple bike shops down there. I'm just gonna go walk around and see what's up. And I go down there, and everybody's living. They had tables in the middle. Kids are laughing, eating. People are cracking up, and I'm just like, what the heck's going on, man? Nobody was bothering over that. I said, man, I love Huntington Beach, man. I'm just like, this is. We're over here living in a bubble, and they're over here just living.
Dude, COVID was wild times, wasn't it, man?
It was.
We look back on that, and it's just like
so stupid,
crazy, dude,
stupid,
crazy. But yeah, there's one restaurant in particular, Basilico's, and it was a local spot that they always hired all the surfers. You know what I mean? And they were really famous they were the ones with the sign that said, if you're vaccinated, you're not allowed in our restaurant. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, no masks allowed. And like, of course, like the liberals just outraged over that. It's like, dude threw a huge fit. It was all over the news and stuff. You know what I mean? But yeah, Huntington seemed like it was pretty wild. At the time we were living in Lake Forest, which kind of same thing. It's very conservative too. I mean, a lot of Orange County is, you know?
Yeah.
And so it was just very quiet,
Yeah.
Lake Forest was super quiet. And that's why we moved back to Huntington, like just be close to the family. And but yeah. So, but Huntington's wild, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
I appreciate Huntington,
Yeah.
man. I mean, it's always been
even all like the BLM and like Antifa riots, man, when all
Yeah.
that stuff was going off, like after the George Floyd incident,
Right.
like right when there's talk about Antifa coming to Huntington, bro, like, I mean, dude, I'm sure you saw the videos, like,
Yeah.
bro, Huntington rallied, like, you had Tito down there, Chuck Liddell, like, we went down there. My wife was friends with Heidi and Chuck Liddell.
Yeah.
And we went down there and we were sitting there eating downtown Main Street, when all this stuff's cracking off. And it's just like, dude, bro, you talk about a city rallying together, man. Those dudes did not make it down Main Street, bro. They did not. They made it to PCH and that was it, bro. Like they didn't make it to any of everyone boarded up, like all the local businesses boarded up all down Main Street. They didn't make it, bro. No, they got stopped right.
I think
they got stopped right in their tracks, man.
That's
right
dope,
at PCH.
right? I
Yeah.
think that's the way it should be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This is our home. You're coming into our home,
Yeah.
and it's not so much like a gang thing or it's just like, hey, we live
Yeah.
here.
Well, dude, I mean, we
I
deal with
worked
it.
there.
We
or
deal with it
I grew
every
up here.
summer, dude. Every
Right?
summer, the U.S. Open, what started as OP Pro, same thing, man. It's
I've
like
seen that.
you get a
couple
lot
years.
of people from out of town and
Yeah.
they get wasted, and then, dude, it's just the city gets trashed, man, and people get over it,
Yeah.
So
Well, they had that. Back in the day, they had that famous
the riot,
right?
Yeah.
The crazy
Yeah.
riot out there. I mean,
right?
you can look
Sublime
it
song
up.
about it. It's the
Yeah.
greatest, dude. Yeah, good stuff.
But so is there a type of stereotype that you guys kind of hate, man, with Huntington Beach or anything like that? Because I know Huntington Beach. It is a conservative town. It is a local kind of only town, I guess. But is there things like it's not true? Like you guys are like, no, because I don't feel that way. But for the masses out there,
So I don't think so. I think we pretty much live up to all of our stereotypes. I mean, like really,
Hey, that's honest, dude.
the one thing. So like, my wife's from Laguna Beach, bro.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
that's different.
bougie, bro.
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
right?
I love, you know what I mean? And her thing when we got together she was like, oh, I always thought Huntington was like bros. I'm like, bros, like nine balls. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah,
Like
yeah.
Inland Empire, dirt bikes, and
Oh,
Metal
no.
Militia. And
No, I didn't get that vibe.
I'm like,
either.
really? I'm
Nah.
like, that's what you thought about Huntington?
Nah.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
that's the only one that I've ever really heard. But I mean, Huntington used to be like a skinhead town. You know what I mean? It was
Yeah.
ran by like Peni and like skinheads, back in the day. Even like when I was kind of started running around the streets, it was still very heavy localized. Like when I was 16, 18, like I started going, what was it, 18 years old. So my older brother, maybe like 17, 18, my older brother, like street brother, was 4 years older than me. And I
Yeah.
had his ID, but you got to figure, like, I've been 6'3" since I was a freshman in high school, So,
Bro.
so I had his ID from when he was 21. I was going down to the bars, and ever since I was running around down there, like, dude, it was very localized, and it was still very heavy on like the skinheads, you know what I mean? But like we're talking like the 80s, 90s, even before my time of like really running around down there,
Yeah.
like downtown Huntington, like the bar scene. No, now it's like it's just changed, man. Everything's changed, like it's almost turned into more of a tourist attraction. They got the Pacific City and stuff. But no, I think, dude, it's a beach town, man. It's just like, you know what I mean? It's mellow, it's relaxed, it's laid back, like, for the most part. Like, I mean, we live a mile from the beach, you know, so it's like perfect, man. We just hop on our bikes, but it's just it's very mellow and laid back, and it's still very, heavily owned by like locals, a lot of like local shops. Our buddy owns Zach's down on the boardwalk right at the pier. Amazing spot, dude.
Dope.
And they own like 4 different like concession stands down like on the boardwalk, and then you got the Turners that own Sugar Shack, a great breakfast spot on Main Street. So you still have that hometown vibe, but it's
what's the burger spot next to Pack City? Like it's almost
TK Burger. TK's bomb, bro.
TK's bomb,
yeah,
bro.
They always hired like all the high school girls back in the day, dude. You know what I mean? Like all of our girlfriends worked there. We'd roll in there, dude. Like all stoned, dude, getting like cheeseburgers and stuff. They bring them out the back and just hand them to us.
TK Burgers is legit.
Yeah,
bro. I'm like,
if you're dating one of the TK girls, bro, you're stoked. Bring all the homies getting burgers and stuff.
Free burgers.
Yeah,
that's dope.
I never dated him, but I had homies that did. So
we've hired them a few times for our job sites.
It's
and
their
stuff.
sauce, bro.
It's
their
good.
Sauce is fire, dude.
It's legit.
Yeah,
I took my wife to that TK. I was like, oh, this is the spot right here.
Yeah, it's the jam, man.
Because we worked on Pack City when we were first building it. So we were over there. But man, it's legit. So you're in Huntington Beach. You're living a good life as a young dude, as far as money wise and things wise, and then you start partying. I always ask everybody, like, when does the partying go from like fun, and then it's like not fun, and it's more of a I have to party type of thing?
Dude, it's so crazy, man. So my partying, I mean, so I smoked weed for my first time 12 years old. I was in 7th grade. One of my best friends, he moved out to Corona. I went out there one time to like hang out with him. He moved out to Corona, I think 6th grade year. And I went out there and he's like, oh, bro, you want to smoke weed? And it's like, for me, I was a very insecure kid. So like I hung out like with I hung out with the skaters, but I was always very tall. And like the skaters were always a lot shorter, I always got made fun of, called an oaf, and like so I always had this like insecurity, and I just always like wanted to like fit in. I always wanted to, you know what I mean? I hung out with all the cool kids and like the skaters and stuff and did like dope stuff. Like I was always about it, but I just never felt like really comfortable in my own skin. You know what I mean? And so I was like, I had a hard time saying no, dude. I just, I couldn't say no. Really. I couldn't, you know what I mean? Like I didn't want to be the bitch. You know what I mean?
It's crazy.
It's like I didn't want to be that guy. I was like, oh, like look at this dude over here, bro. Like look at this lame, this square, not, you know what I mean? Like get out of here, So I just always like, if everyone else was doing it, I would do it,
It's crazy because usually the big kid, you know what I mean? Like it kind of runs things, you know what I mean? Like it's kind of different.
Yeah, no, it's like, dude, they just, I was tall, man. And everyone else, like I said, I was hanging out with skaters and they're a lot shorter. So obviously you too, like insecurities of them, like they want to, you know what I mean? They're going to bash the tall dude because I'm the only one that's tall or whatever it was,
It's crazy.
So, yeah, man. And then, kind of dabbled with that. And then once I hit high school, bro, dude, I just, there was this chick and I was in a photo class and some hot chick was like, hey, like come in the back with me. She's like, you want to do a line? And I didn't even ask what. I'm like, sure, snorted a line. And like, I'm like, oh, like burn my nose. Like, oh, I'm like, oh, what was that? She's like, meth. I'm like, oh shit. Like, dude, I had no idea. Didn't even ask questions, man, and like got stuck on that, man. And freshman at Huntington. And dude, I just like, bro, it was like the good meth back then too, and got stuck on that. That lasted for like 2 weeks. And then all my good friends, like Jimmy, not Jimmy himself, but like his brother and all of his brother's friends were going to jump me. They're going to beat me up, because they're like, oh, you're a tweaker. And they're like, hey, bro, like, why don't you try Coke instead? Coke's better, dude. Like, so then I substituted the meth with Coke, because these guys were like, oh, it's cool. Jimmy's brother was a year older than me. Jimmy was a year younger than me, a grade younger than me. And so I hopped on that because that's what they were doing, you know. And all my high school, it just I just kept like substituting, you know. And then it's like, dude, the coke, like, you know, got out of control. It was like starting that. Then it was like, okay, like smoking weed and Xanax and the pills and the drinking, the high school partying. And
So you're why you started doing drugs is to fit in?
pretty much, man. I didn't, it wasn't even so much to fit in. I didn't want to, I couldn't say no. I didn't know how to say no. And I mean, bro, that went all the way up until I was 27, man, until I got sober this time around, you know? It didn't matter, bro. Like I'd be at a bar and someone would be like, hey man, like, do you want to take some acid? I'm like, sure. They're like, it's Tuesday night. I'm like, perfect. Even all the more reason, you know what I mean? Like I couldn't say no. It didn't matter what day it was, you know what I mean? I mean, I went through my times of like being sober, but if I was like partying, dude, it was all or nothing, man. Like there was never any turning anything down. It didn't matter what it was, you know what I mean? So, but yeah, man, to kind of go back to like my dad left a family of four, my mom and four kids when my brother was 10, I was 8, my little brother was 6, my sister was 4, you know? So like he, started using meth, later on in life. He was a great dad and just like disappeared, you know? So I knew what it was, but I wasn't like really aware of it. I don't know, man. Like it's kind of crazy. Like looking back, I just, I like black things out. You know what I mean? Like there's spots like where I'm just like, dude, I just can't remember shit. And I don't know if that was intentional on my part, you know what I mean? But yeah, so like my dad left and I just always kind of had that in the back of my head. But like all of high school, it did seem like partying.
Was it just a blur of just partying?
Yeah, dude. I mean, it was just like one thing after another, bro. It was just, you know, I got in the same thing. Like I just I was hanging out with the wrong people, man. Like I was super into sports my whole life. I was in junior lifeguards at 9 years old and did that all up until I was 17. I at young ages, like I played every sport. I played baseball, I played football, I played basketball, I played soccer, you know, and then ultimately like it came down to like once I was in junior guards, like 9, 10 years old, I really wanted to like start swimming. I did the pure swimming. I'm like, dude, this sucks. Like, I got to get better at swimming, you know? Yeah. So focus on swimming, and I was tall and lean. So it's like perfect sport for me. You know, I had the perfect build to be a swimmer. So, dude, that just fired off, and I loved being fast and I loved being good at something. So I stuck with swimming. And I just swam, dude. So I was at Huntington as a varsity swimmer my freshman year. So I like had a lot going for me, man. I just, I got burnt out on the training too of like swimming. And once I got to high school, it was just kind of like,
wasn't fun
everybody was on surf team, like Jimmy, all my friends were on surf team. I'm just like, dude, I want to surf and I just want to party, man. Like I don't even want to do sports anymore, you know? And I just got caught up, man. And I just, trying to party and swim and play water polo was not good, dude. Bro, like trying to show up to water polo practice stoned, dude, and like tread water. It's like the water just feels like jello. You're like, what is going on, dude? You know?
My cousin had a story about that. He was like, dude,
man.
I did drugs one time so much. My cousin Champ, he was here, and he was like, we went to Havasu, we were partying. He goes, and I dove off the boat and I landed in the water, and dude, I thought I was in jello. I just couldn't move, man. And I thought I was going to die. I was like, dude, come on.
Yeah. So, and then I had all the seniors, bro, that were like really good. And they just were hating on me, bro, because I had all this talent and I just was screwing it up. You know what I mean? Like showing up high and they're just like, dude, like, what are you know what I mean?
Is your mom recognizing? Is anybody trying to like talk you like, hey, don't do it?
Yeah, bro. My mom was amazing, man. I've never seen my mom drink or smoke a cigarette, weed, nothing my whole life. You know what I mean? Like she's, ever since she had kids, she devoted her whole life to being a mom. You know what I mean? And especially after my dad left, she was juggling. She was working at Fountain Valley Hospital, taking pictures of babies at night. She would go work bingo so that at Huntington High School to pay for all of our sports without having to pay, because my dad was in the union. He was a union crane operator too. Mm-hmm. So through the court system, when you try to attach wages, like she would go after and like find out he's working at Bragg. So she would go to Bragg, and then not to mention, like, you know, he's in bed with all the payroll ladies because he's worked at all these companies for so long. So like, oh no, sorry, Dave's not working, or whatever. The courts attach his wages and he just bail. You know how the union is, but he just bail and go to another company tomorrow. So all of a sudden you get his check and realize that money was taken out of his check, he just bail, you know? So he didn't pay child support. So that was my mom's way of like, she was juggling 4 kids, man. And like, I was the only one, I was the black sheep, man. I was the only one that like got that addictive personality and was a screw up. So it was like,
were you the oldest?
no, I was the second. Of course, bro. We're always the trouble child. You know what I mean? There's plenty of memes about that on Instagram, dude. You know, the second child, dude, is the rough one. So, you know, I'm the only one that got that, you know, and brothers and sisters, you know, same thing. Everybody's in sports. My mom's having to take my little brother and sister to swimming, water polo. My older brother's playing baseball at Huntington. He was 2 years older than me. So he was in high school at the same time. And she was trying to juggle everything. So it's like, dude, it got to a point like she could only do so much. And I knew that. And I took full advantage of it. You know what I mean? Just ran amok. Dude, I got my first tattoo my freshman year. I got my last name tattooed down the back of my arm. And I did it just low enough, bro, so you could see it with my shirt's on. You know what I mean? I had to be the cool kid, you know? My buddy at Huntington, his older brother was, you know, slinging weed, dude. They're just like, you know, the gangsters of Huntington. And he's like, yeah, bro, my brother tattoos out of his house. So I'm like, oh, cool, I want to get a tattoo. He's like, all right, dude. So gives me the address, bro. I roll up. It's like downtown Long Beach, bro. Like 7th Street. And I'm like, oh, my gosh, bro. Pit bulls barking, like slamming up against the door. They're, oh, dude, that's the killer. You know what I mean? I'm like, right. Man, I'm here to get tattooed. I'm like 14. I'm like, dude, I don't know what I got myself into, you know? And my mom saw it, man. And then, you know, and then I didn't stop, dude, because I could just take advantage of her. And I knew that, you know?
It's hard with the working mom, man.
Well, bro,
they can have all the best intention of taking care of their family and loving their family, but it just, there's so many ways they get pulled.
Dude, and I was bad, man. I was a handful, dude. So it's like she could only do so much. And I mean, she never gave up by any means. She never, dude, my mom was very devoted and very, like, anytime I'd call her, she would be there, man. Like, she's picked me up bloody in the streets, bro. And you know what I mean?
Yeah.
She's done some gangster stuff, bro. She's taken my clothes off, and I woke up in the morning, changed clothes, and had no idea where they went. They disappeared. You know what I mean? Yeah. She was always there for me. She never gave up. It wasn't like she was like some like absent mom, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we come from a good family, and she was a great mom. She just, like, dude, she had 3 other kids. Like, she couldn't come out looking for me at 2:00 in the morning when she has to get my little brother and sister to school in the morning. You know what I mean? My little brother was 2 years younger. My sister was 2 years younger than him. So 4 years younger than me. So it's like, yeah, I realized, like, she had, when I was in high school, you know, she had a 6th grader and you know what I mean? A 4th grader. So
did you want to stop? Did you realize, like, man, I'm screwing up.
No,
maybe
dude,
I should stop this.
No, not at that time. In high school, man, I was so attracted to, I wanted to be tough, man. I wanted to be, my perception of, like, a man was like somebody who was feared. I wanted everyone to fear me. I wanted to be a gangster. I wanted people to be scared of me when I walked into parties and, like, oh, this dude's going to beat me up. This dude's crazy. Like, that's what I wanted, you know? And I wasn't even like that, bro. You know, like, I didn't have that in my heart. I didn't have that kind of hate, but that's what I wanted. That's the perception I wanted, because that was kind of what I idolized in the older generation of Huntington, like that older, like, downtown, like, local thing was like, bro, these guys were badasses. I heard all these stories from Jimmy's dad's friends of, like, oh, we smashed this dude at the bar, we fucking beat this dude up. And I was like, damn, that's a man, bro, like, being feared, you know? Like, that's what I looked at as, like, a real man. You know what I mean? So that's what I wanted. So
you didn't have really nobody to teach you, right? You're just kind of whatever stories, whatever you felt. That's like, this is what a man is. Yeah, you're just gravitating to whatever you see.
And it's crazy, dude, because, like, I feel like, obviously, like, everything happens for a reason, bro. You know, and, like, but my biggest role model, like I said, was, like, my street brother, and I met him when I was 14. He was best friends with one of my best friends' older sister. And he was a tweaker in Huntington. He had a dope, pre-runner F-150, like, you know what I mean? Fully linked and stuff. Like, dude was just rolling around at the time, like, diesel jeans, like, super, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, cut off flannels. I was like, dude, this dude's bad, you know, all the hot chicks. And so I looked up to him as a role model, and, like, he actually, like, took me in as, like, his own, you know? And as much as, like, we ran around and weren't good for each other, he also, like, really taught me how to become a man. And I thanked him for that, like, later on down the line, like, because there was a lot of bad that came out of our friendship, but there was also a lot of good, you know, because now it's like going through everything I went through and now being a follower of Christ and being like a real man, a real father, I still have that dog in me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I don't have to use it, but I can.
Yeah.
And I do have that if I need it. And, but it's like, man, I grew up rough, dude. You know what I mean?
I
Like
don't know if anybody's gonna really step to you now, Dave, and try to start something with you, man. You're pretty intimidating, bro. You know what I mean? It might be.
I don't know. I got to grow that mustache back out, bro. My wife won't let me.
Yeah, especially with the mustache,
that's
bro.
what kept me for so long. Had me like, and every time I shaved it, like I would go through these stages. I would keep it for like 3 or 4 years. And I'd shave it. I'm like, and I tell my wife, I'm like, dude, I feel just like a victim now. You know what I mean? Like, well, bro, when you're rolling around with like, you know, I have two little girls and you know what I mean? It's like, dude, when someone looks at you and you have that like tougher look, like you do. Dude, you're obviously going to be less, you know what I mean? People aren't going to want to mess with you as much. So,
right.
But, no, so, yeah, I lost my train of thought.
No, I'm sorry, man.
No, you're good.
No, so when do you get to the point, when do you realize like, this is not, I need to stop?
Dude. So I got my first felony. Shoot, man. Oh, man, was I 20? I think I was 20. 21. I think I was 21. 21 years old, I got my first felony. So, dude, I was partying. I was partying at a hotel in LA, and I had some friends that were like, dude, they needed a meth pipe. It was like 2 a.m. So they sent me to my dad's house because my dad was a tweaker, and he lived in Huntington, and I could get into his house. So they're like, go to your dad's house and get a meth pipe, and they gave me a bag of meth. They're like, here, just drop this off, leave this for him, and take his meth pipe. You know what I mean? A little exchange, you know? I'm like, all right, cool, you know? I'm all fucked up. They give me 2 ecstasy pills. Well, I didn't realize that these ecstasy pills are like opiate-based. Dude, I hop in the cab from LA, and I wake up, and I'm getting arrested on PCH, bro, right in front of, I just told the cab driver, I'm like, hey, downtown Huntington. I was like, and I was in LA, so I was like, I'll just like refine the route once we get closer, you know? So I told him downtown Huntington. At the time, it was Raw Sushi right on, now I think it's like the Gastropub or whatever, right on like Main Street or on PCH. And I wake up, I'm getting pulled out of the car by cops. I'm like, what the fuck? You know, and they went in and they pulled the baggie out of my pocket. They got the meth. So I was getting a possession of meth charge, you know, because I passed out and the cab driver couldn't get me up, you know, so they pulled me out, bail out of jail. So I got, at that time I was 21. I got a Prop 30 PC 1000, I think. PC 1000 it was a state drug program, PC 1000, and it wasn't but more than like 2 weeks. And I got another possession charge. I got a possession of cocaine, dude. And then they gave me Prop 36, and that was like the next drug, you know.
That's funny because that's what Slick said he had on cam. Yeah, to do Prop 36.
Yeah. So I did both. I did PC 1000.
You gonna go to jail?
Dude, I
or are you
didn't
gonna go to the
even
program?
do one of the classes, bro. Like that's how good I was. I just advanced straight on. You know what I mean?
That's what he said.
Advanced straight on to Prop 36, and then I didn't even make it to one of those classes, bro. And dude, I had like 60 days sober, getting in a fight with my girlfriend. I hit up one of the dudes that I was in county with. Wing got high the day before I had to see my PO. I went and saw my PO, and I was like panicking, bro, because I was shooting up meth. You know what I mean? And so I went to go see my PO, and I stopped at a head shop, and I got one of the fake dicks with the Wizinator, was what it was called. Yeah. Homie, I roll in to take my drug test, bro, and I take my drug test, and I turn around, the guy's like, hand it over. I'm like, what are you talking about, bro? He's like, dude, hand it over. He's like, I've seen your dick before, dude. He's like, that wasn't your dick. And I'm like, oh, dude. And he's like, and what's that, bro? I lleft the nozzle on, bro. I pissed all down my pants, bro. Oh. Left the nozzle on, didn't turn it off. So my whole pants were soaking wet, dude.
It was black.
And it was...
He's like, that's not yours.
That's what everyone said, dude.
That's not yours.
And I'm like, fuck, man. So then I like go out. My PO was so cool. She's like, dude, like, why didn't you just tell me? Like, she's like, dude, like, this is a drug program. Like, you would have been fine. You know what I mean? She's like, now you're going to jail, you know? And like, that was like my first like real trip to Thea Lacey. And she's like, yeah, now you're doing, you know, now you're going to do a probation violation. So, so I, you know, got arrested and got my first trip to Thea Lacey with with synthetic urine on my pants, dude. Big old wet spot, you know?
Dude, how bad was your addiction? When it was bad, I mean, as far as how much you spending and how much are you using?
It was bad. So, I mean, the worst I ever got was well, I mean, it's obviously a progressive disease, right? You know, was this last time around when I got sober in 2016, I was smoking, snorting, and shooting up like 7 to 10 grams of coke a day. So, I mean, like street value, you're looking at like $400, you know what I mean?
Wow.
Yeah.
And you're
or actually more than that. That was like, I guess $200 to $400 was like my price. So you're probably looking at like $1,000 street value, something like that.
That's crazy.
7 to 10 grams. I think like 8 balls. I don't know, dude. I can't remember what the prices were. You know
It
what I
was
mean? But it was
hundreds.
stupid, bro. Yeah. I could blow through in a half ounce in a weekend, dude, you know, because smoking, like I was rocking it up myself and smoking it. So it's like, you just burn through it, bro. It's such a Jonesy high that you're smoking like every 5 minutes, man. You know what I mean? And I was smoking out of like bongs and stuff. So it's just like, dude, just melting and torching through big old rocks. You know what I mean? So,
and
it was bad, dude.
functioning. You were still going to work. You were still doing what you had to do. Kind of.
Function. Yeah. But no, it was bad for a little bit, man. Like I was working. I was rolling around, dude. So my boss was so cool, bro. He just wanted the best for me. He worked with my dad side by side. And, dude, he just wanted the best for me, man. And at the time, dude, I was super bad. I was shooting up meth. I was shooting up coke. I was like, dude, it was just anything that I could do and however I could stay awake, you know? So like you could only smoke so much crack before your lungs are just smoked and your throat hurts. And I'm smoking cigarettes too. So it's like, okay, well then I'll smoke crack. Then I'll take a shot of coke. And then after 4 or 5 days, I couldn't stay up any longer. So it's like, okay, well shoot, like let's try and shoot some meth now. You know what I mean? To just try and stay awake to like go to work. I got complained on, so he took me off the crane that I was on. Then he put me on like a boom truck, like a self-loader, 1-man crane. So I was going around dropping off poles, dude. And man, I was rolling around, which was like that was like the worst thing he could have done. And I don't think he knew it. He was just trying to protect me from the owners of the company. But I was rolling around, dude, with like this little soft suitcase, and I had this little like little 6-inch, 8-inch bong in there. I'd roll around with like 3 grams of crack pre-made, like, dude, I had no food in there. I didn't need food. You know what I mean? It was just like a crack bong. And I had a sunglass case with like 3 syringes of like coke that were already like drawn up. So I could just be rolling around in traffic and like, boom, crack already made, boom, take a bong toke. Or I could be sitting in traffic and shooting up while driving at work. Like it was bad, bro. And then I ran that in the ground, dude. And, man, I got super bad. And just that's when my boss, you know, I rolled in one night, man. I did this night job, dude, and I pulled over. I had to park in a parking lot, ended up sleeping for like 18 hours, and I rolled the crane in the yard, and they obviously knew like I didn't have a job. They're like, dude, like crane rolls in the yard, there's like 30 people in the yard, and I'm like parking it like a day later. Wow. And they're like, dude, like what the heck, you know? I just fell asleep in some parking lot, you know. My body was just shutting down from just, you know, being up for too long, like, dude, shooting up all the drugs, just everything, you know, just shutting down. I left the work that day to drive home, and bro, I'm driving home, and same thing, body shuts down. I wake up and I'm 50-50 grinding in a Dodge Durango, bro, the K-rail on the 405, bro. I'm like literally sideways on the K-rail, slammed down. And I'm like sliding across all lanes, dude, doing probably 80 miles an hour on the freeway in like a souped up Dodge Durango. And I look in my rear view, and all the cars are back like 800 feet, just lined up. So I'm like, dude, I had to have been swerving, bro. I just pull off the side, hop out, and I'm like checking underneath my car because I'm like, oh, I blew out my oil pan or something for sure, dude. I was up on the K-rail sideways in a Dodge Durango. Bro. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And dude, and so I'm get back to my mom's house, dude, and just I passed out for like 2 days, and I text my boss. I'm like, hey, like I gotta go get help, dude. I had a couple buddies, my friend and his girlfriend were going to Thailand. They're like, dude, so I'm like, I'm going to Thailand. I bought a one-way plane ticket to Thailand to go try and get sober, dude. And
did you think that was just gonna take you away from the environment?
That's exactly it.
Like there's no drugs in Thailand.
Yeah. So I was always kind of scared to tell my family, like tell my like mom. So I asked for help for my first time when I was 20, 21 years old. I when I first started shooting meth was when I was 21.
They
And
knew, right? I mean, they knew you were addicted to drugs, or did you kind of hide that
my
from them?
my mom did, but I was working for my family's company. The first time I tried to get help, I was working for my family's company. So I was working for my grandpa, and that's my mom's dad. And so I was like, hey, like, I told her, I'm like, I need to get help. And she was like, my family is so judgmental that it was like, oh, well, like, you got to try and do this on your own. If you don't really want it if you don't, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it wasn't like intentional. I don't think that maybe my mom knew as bad as it was because I moved out when I was 18. Like, like
Yeah.
I was making, 100 grand as an 18-year-old. I was making, you know what I mean? Like crazy, like crane operator money as a kid. And so I moved out. So I had my own place. So I don't think she really knew how bad it was. And she was kind of like, oh, like she didn't want to like embarrass her family or like whatever it was, if she would have known how bad it was, I'm sure she would have. But, yeah, so I ended up, having to kind of do it on my own. And that's how I got to there.
You never could do it on your own, right?
No,
You help a lot of guys. It's impossible to do it on your own?
I wouldn't say impossible. So everybody's recovery. I've learned that everybody's recovery journey is like different, Is it hard? Yeah. So I was in the rooms of AA when I was 21 years old, getting court cards signed. You know what I mean? Or actually even earlier than that, I was 20, because I got arrested for a DUI when I was 20, but fought the case and didn't end up, it was a bullshit case. I was at a party sitting in the driver's seat, wasn't driving. Cops tried to, you know what I mean? Good old Huntington PD tried to get me, and, it didn't stick, but I fought it for like a year, but the DMV still took my license away. So I had court cards. So I was in the rooms of AA at 20 years old. And, I always was able to use AA as a crutch. So like I was such a bad drug addict that like I would lose everything so quick. My cars, my job, everything. Like I would just like get so ran down. I wouldn't be able to show up for work anymore. That I would only last like 6 months, because once I got introduced to the needle, it was just, I would never go back. I never went back to using any other way,
Wow.
So it was just, I would run my life just into the ground so quick. Then I'd like, okay, start working out and go back to AA. And that's kind of how I did it. And it was just a temporary fix, I'd build my life back up. That's why I was like joking. I was like, oh, God just kind of wants me like barely getting by, bro. You know what I mean? Because it's like, he doesn't want
keep
me
him on a leash for a little
every
bit.
time, man. That's why every time when I was a kid and I would get sober, it's like, build your life back up. And it's like, okay, card back, jaw's back, feeling good. I'm back to like 230 pounds doing, you know what I mean? And then to start getting stuff back. And then it's like, okay, like, let's do this again. You know what I mean? Like,
what was going on in your mind now that you look back that you would always fall back? Was there some people say they have hurt, or they just think they could do a little bit, dude, and be okay, or what was your deal?
I don't know, man. They always try and pinpoint that stuff, especially like when you go to treatment, they're like, and for me, it's a very easy target. It was just my dad, you know what I mean? And, my dad left at a young age, but like, I've never been able to blame it on that. I've never been able to blame it on him. And it's kind of like piss people off, you know what I mean? Like therapists and stuff, and like my mom, because I feel like everybody kind of wants to like blame it on him. But I'm just like, I've always wanted to accept my responsibility for my own actions. I've never been one to be like, oh yeah, I got daddy issues, and that's why I was a drug addict because my daddy did drugs. Like, no, dude, like I won the DARE essay, bro, in 5th grade. Like, you write an essay for the DARE program. Like, dude, I won, like, my officer chose my DARE essay. Like, I went up and, like, read it in front of, like, like, the California Distinguished School District and stuff. You know what I mean? And so it's like, dude, I knew what I was doing. You know what I mean? It wasn't, I couldn't blame it on my dad, but I really, like, the one thing I could honestly say, man, is, like, I couldn't say no. I didn't know how to, I never wanted to be that dude that was a square, like that. Oh, look at this lame. Like,
yeah,
that's the only thing I could really think
I think a lot of people fall into that category, but unlike yourself, where you say, hey, it's my fault, it's not my dad, they kind of use maybe a trauma as a crutch, instead of just saying, I couldn't say no.
Yeah.
I felt insecure. I wanted to be a part. I wanted to do something. I wanted to be over here. Then I think now they use the opposite thing. They kind of will go, because it sounds better now when you watch these intervention or whatever like that, right? And I know for some people it's true 100%. But I think there's some people that go, well, let's dive deep and try to find this trauma inside. And this, oh, that's why you're doing the drugs. But I think that's a fair assessment on your part to say, nah, man,
Well,
I had some hurt from my dad, but I couldn't say no.
Well, it all comes down to, like I was talking about, like my idols. Like, bro, like I looked up to guys that were tough and bad and partied and did coke. Like that was that was my perception at a young age of a man. You know what I mean? So like I wanted to become a man. So like that's what I needed to do to be cool, bro. Like in my eyes, like those were the cool guys. Like those were the guys that got the hot chicks. Those were the guys that partied. They were the life of the party. People feared them. Right. That's what I wanted. You know what I mean? So like my dad wasn't even really in my head, you know, and I was the most like my dad out of any of my brothers and sisters. If you looked at pictures, bro, you'd be like, oh my gosh, like you're a splitting image of him, especially like with a mustache, you know, and we were the tightest, man. I mean, my mom tells me stories like when my dad finally, like when he started using, and he, you know, he lived in our garage for like 2 years, and he would lock the garage from the outside in. So like, and I would like sit there knocking at the door. And I remember after my mom tells me that these are the kind of things I was talking about, like blacking out these like memories. And she would tell me like I would be knocking on the door and he'd be in there getting high with a bunch of his friends. Like we would come home and like we would be driving up to the house. Like we would leave, my mom would pick us up from school and we'd have a guessing game on like what tweakers were going to be at the house. Like at the time we didn't know they were tweakers because we were kids, but we'd be like, oh, I bet you Steve's there and I bet you Tracy's there. And you know what I mean? And we'd have like a guessing game on like what tweakers are going to be at the pad. You know what I mean? But my dad would sit there with the door locked and be like, oh, 10 minutes, 10 minutes. My mom said like, Stu, I'd fall asleep sitting on the stairs waiting for my dad to open that door. You know what I mean? Just like to spend time with him, man. And he was just like never there, you know? And then he finally moved out of the garage and he moved into a crane yard and we would go see him because my mom, like, even though he didn't have visitation, she didn't want to like take him away because like she knew how much we loved him and like that it was like good for us to see him. There's times where she rolled in the crane yard, dude, and my dad was passed out in his trailer because he just parked like a trailer in the crane yard because he was so tight with a lot of these crane companies. And we would be, my little brother being like 10 years old, my sister being 8, or driving a stick shift, like one of the yard trucks, a Ford Ranger around. And my brother and I are in semis. He taught us how to drive semis, stick shift semis at like 12 years old, 10 years old. And we're driving around semis, bro, just passing each other. My mom rolls in to pick us up and she's like, my dad's passed out and in his trailer. And she's like, dude, that's it. You know, that's when she finally cut it off, you know? So it's like, dude, I know that there's like a lot of like damage, like subliminal damage that I probably don't think about, you know, but to be completely honest, bro, when I was using, it was just like I said, man, I idolized these guys. That's what I wanted to be. That was my definition of a man. I didn't know how to say no at a young age. It was just wanting to fit in. And it was insecurity. It was a lot of things, you know, but I could honestly say when I was partying through high school, it was never like, oh, I got like, I'm trying to be like my dad. Like, no, I didn't even, wasn't even thinking about my dad because he wasn't even in the pictures. Me idolizing these other guys that I looked up to, you know?
When you finally got the money, the girls, the cars, the reputation, when you finally achieved all that, were you happy? Were you like, hey, okay, I made it. This is what it. Or were you still like, oh, is this it? You know, I still unsatisfied? Like, this is not what I thought it was gonna be.
It wasn't. I wasn't like striving. So like, obviously, like when you're in it, man, you're never thinking like, oh, I finally made it. You know, you're always looking to level up, whatever that may be. You know. So it wasn't like, oh, like this is like finally it. But I mean, I can honestly say like at the time, bro, like I thought I was having fun. Looking back on it, like, you know, like 2014, 15, 16, like those are like the times like where I was like really bad. Like I was riding Harleys. I got really into like the Harley scene and like in 2014, like started doing wheelies and started like going and like filming videos, wheelies, burnouts. And like, that's when like, you know what I mean? Really like going hard and like, dude, I was single. I had the most control of my addiction at the time. I mean, definitely not by any means any control, but like I was somewhat like leveled of like, oh, you know, like I would just snort coke throughout the week. And then like I would, if I come home drunk, like I would maybe do a shot on the weekend or something. Like it wasn't like super crazy, but like that's when like I was partying super hard and stuff. And dude, that's when all the cars, the Harleys, I had jewelry like up the yin yang, like, and that's, I mean, I thought I was having fun, you know what I mean? But like,
Right.
and I mean, honestly, if my life was manageable, like I probably would have kept going that route, but it didn't stay manageable. You know what I mean? It always progressively got worse and worse. So it was only a matter of time before I lost everything. And it's like, I was never one, I was too vain to be like, I've already had so much. I was too vain to be like, oh, well, I'm just going to go live on the streets and keep being a junkie. Like I was always able to like, oh my gosh, I've lost everything, bro. Like I'm not working now. I got no money. You know what I mean? Like, okay, I got to get sober again. You know what I mean? So, I was always able to catch myself like before I ended up like on the streets.
Under the pier.
You know, yeah. And my mom
Yeah.
always welcomed me back at her house. So like when I would get like really, really bad and like, dude, if like the house, my pad got taken, I end up at my mom's, and then she kind of was able to, you know what I mean, steer me into like controlling me a little bit, not too much, you know, like she has no sense of smell. She has no sense of smell. So like, bro, like I would just sit in like her house and like smoke cigarettes and smoke crack. And like, so it was like, it was a little bit better being at her house. I didn't have free reign, but yeah, I mean, I always kind of caught myself, you know?
What was the breaking point for you?
What, this time around?
Yeah. How many times did you go?
So
Did
dude,
you get
I would
cleaned
get
up?
I would get sober like quite a bit. Like I said, I would last like, so my first time really getting sober was 2012. So, and I stayed sober for 2 years. That was 2012 to 2014. That was my first real
That's
time.
a good time.
I was doing really good from in 2000 in like 2010, 2009 to 2010. I was when I had just gotten my crane operator certifications. I was a Class A driver, and I got sober for like 6 months. I met this chick, and she was super cool, dude. We were hanging out, and I was sober for 6 months. I was like the first real time. And then my dad hit me up and was like, hey, like going through the holidays, I was living in Huntington, and I hadn't seen him in like years and years, but I was like, I had my own job at the time. I had my own house. So he lived in Huntington. I lived in Huntington right down the street. So he came and met up with me. He's like, hey man, it's the holidays. Like, I'm really like, it's really hard for me not being able to see your brothers and sisters. Like, hey, can you get me a bag? And I was like, oh, the neighbor gets high. Like, go ask her. He wanted meth, you know? And he's like, oh, like, yeah, she got me hooked up. Like, will you come with me? I'm like, oh, sure. Like, I was sober at the time. I'm like, whatever, dude, I'll roll with you, you know, like little daddy, son bonding time, you know, going to get a bag. And then we get the bag, and then he's like, oh, bro, like, you want to hit it with me? And I'm like, sure. You know? So I got high with my dad, bro, when I was like 20 years old, you know what I mean? And like, and then that broke my 6-month streak. And then, dude,
Did you get high with him because, like you said, you wanted to, for some weird reason, bond with him, or just spend some time?
Just
don't say no again.
Like, I just didn't.
Dang.
I had no intention. When he asked me, I just directed him to the neighbor. He went by himself. He talked to her. Came back to my house. She lived. It was a triplex, and she lived in the back unit. So then he just came back to my pad. And he's like, oh, like, dude, you got me. Like, you want to roll with me? I'm like, oh, sure. Like, I had no intention. I'm not even lying, bro. Like, I had no intention of going there and like getting high after. I was like, oh, I'll just roll with him, dude. You know what I mean? And yeah, then when he asked me, it was just like another one of those, like, it was just another one of those, like, it was like he was a friend. Like, I wouldn't say no. You know what I mean? I just had no willpower to like say no. Like, I just was so down to like party all the time. That was it.
Did you, after getting high, after being sober for 6 months, and then getting high, did you realize, like, dang, I messed up?
100%. And that's when everything goes bad, bro, because I've always said that, like, up until this time around, the one thing I always hung on to was like my sobriety date. You know what I mean? Like, I was always like proud of that, like, dude, I worked so hard for this 60 days. And then it's like, dude, then I'd be at a buddy's house and like have a beer. And I'm like, oh, well, shit, dude, had a beer, might as well start snorting coke again. And then I start snorting. I'm like, well, this isn't any fun. Like, I'm going to go to Walgreens and get a pack of syringes and start shooting up. You know what I mean? Like, that's way more fun, you know?
Wow.
But like that initial break in that 6 months was like, well, dude, like, you know, once I got high with my dad, I was like, well, screw it, dude. You know what I mean? Like, hit the ground running again. Let's go. You know, like, yeah, there was, you know, so there was no like, oh, I just like stopped there. It was like, no, like, now we're on, like, I'm not sober anymore. So like, let's party, you know, and ran that out for like 2 years. I got sober in 2012 to 2014. That's when I told you I got the 2 drug charges. got busted with the Wizinator. I did my first stint in Escalation, and then that didn't even stop me. I got out, and a month later, I got arrested again. I got drunk on the 4th of July after a month of being out of jail, and I went back to jail. And then this time, like, my attorney's like, dude, you're screwed, man. Like, it was an assault with a deadly weapon, aggravated assault, like, trying to say that, like, dude, I, was trying to kill someone pretty much, and he's like, dude, you're screwed. He goes, this is a DA that we beat in your DUI case when you're 19 years old.
So he's pissed.
Yeah, he's pissed, bro, because it was a 1.5 year case. And then when the DUI case went to trial, bro, the cops strung it out to trial. 2 of the cops didn't show up out of 3, saying that they had belt sores from their police belts rubbing. Just total bullshit, bro. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and so, like, the DA was pissed, and he's like, dude, they're coming at you. Well, then, by the grace of God, bro, like, dude, I was like, he's like, dude, you're like probably 6 years. You know what I mean? I'm like, man, like my
6
whole
years.
life. And I'm like, dude, I was
How old are you at that time?
22.
Oh, so you're super young.
Yeah, and I was just like, dude, and like, I always, like, I've never been like a criminal. I've never been like, okay, I'm a criminal, but like never like, like I'm going to go rob houses, or I'm going to, like, you know what I mean? Like, I was a fake, like I said, like
There's levels, right? There's levels of being a criminal.
Kind of, but like I was a front, dude. Like I wasn't really about that life. I was a lover at heart, and that's what I portrayed to be cool. So that's what I tried to be. You know what I mean? It wasn't like deep down, like I really hated other people and I wanted to hurt people. Like, no, like that's just what I wanted to do to earn respect. And that's how I thought that I would get it. But like deep down, dude, I didn't really feel like that. You know what I mean? Like I was a good person. I had a good job. Like I had a family that loved me. And I just knew, I was like, man, like, dude, I'm not supposed to be here, bro. Like I can't go to prison for 6 years. I got a family that loved me. Like I don't fit in with all these knuckleheads in jail, bro. Like these guys like to be here. Like I got a job waiting for me, I got a family.
I love that you say that, Dave, because especially in the podcast realm, in the storytelling of today, a guy such as yourself would rather play up that bravado of I got busted, I was facing 6 years, I was doing this, I robbed people. You know what I mean? It's always like a build up. You know what I mean? And the reality is a lot of times it's not that at all. It sounds good on the podcast, or it sounds good when you're making a video when you're making a video on the gram. But your vulnerability, I love that because it's the dang truth.
Yeah, it is.
And if it was like, hey, I thought that was cool, I wanted to portray that. I did want to be like, but inside my heart, I wasn't that guy.
No,
and I love that you say that, because I think there's a lot of people out there like that, where it's like, dude, like, no, you weren't like that. You're portraying that now on the gram, and now that you're sober and all this stuff, but in reality you were a drug addict. You were, and you weren't that tough. You know what I mean? Like you had a heart, but you got in trouble. I think that's huge.
It's the truth, man. You know what I mean?
Because I think when kids listen to this, or when young people listen to a story like that, that life can be glorified in 100%. In a weird way,
dude,
where you glorify, he was on drugs and he had money, and he ran the streets, but he was still working, or he was still making money, or he had this reputation in the neighborhood, whatever it may be. And I think sometimes it gets more glorified, where it's like, dude, no, it wasn't like that.
Well, I looked up to that, man. I just remember being like, even like in high school, and like the kids that like went to YA, like the youth jail and stuff. It was like, oh, that dude's hard. You know what I mean? Like, oh, bro, like, and I looked up to that. Like, that's what you know what I mean? That's what I portrayed as cool. That's what I portrayed as a badass. And that's what I wanted to be. You know what I mean? It wasn't who I was. It was just what I thought I wanted to be, and like, like you remember back as a kid, it's like, dude, you don't know what you want, dude.
Right.
You're looking for your real identity, man. Like, I think that like, even up until like, be in your 20s, bro, like you don't even know who you are, dude. You're just 100%. Trying to find yourself, man. 100%. Like, and it's sad, man. And I think every kid goes through it, like you don't know who you are, you don't know what you want to be, and like that's why it's like important. Like that's why my goal is just to be a good role model for these kids and try and preach sobriety and fitness. And like, dude, I went down that path, bro. Like I tried to be that guy, I tried to be something I wasn't, and that's not what you have to do. You know what I mean? You don't have to go down that same path that I went down to be cool. You know what I mean? You just got to be yourself, man. Like sobriety, fitness, faith, man, loving God, like that shit's cool.
Right.
You know,
Right.
like that life isn't cool, man.
Is it a lot harder to do that life than the old life you lived?
What life?
Discipline, fitness,
No,
faith,
bro,
loving
my
your
life
family.
is so easy, dude. Are you kidding
Is
me?
it?
Oh my gosh, bro. It gives me anxiety just thinking about going back to that old life. Oh my gosh, bro. Like trying to be something that you're not, like waking up every day, like just knowing that you're living a front, you know what I
Right.
mean? And like just empty happiness, bro. Like it's a fake happiness. Like, you know what I mean? You're trying to portray like you're, oh, this is such a good life. And like my friends that had girlfriends, I'm like, oh, I got a new girlfriend every night, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Thinking I'm all cool, dude. It's like, no, man, it's all fake, bro. And I lived with that. You know what I mean? That imposter syndrome, bro.
Yeah.
Waking up every day, not knowing who I am, thinking that, you know what I mean? Like just depressed and like, dude, like what am I doing with my life? How do I stop? You know, like you feel like an imposter, man. Like you feel like you're not yourself. You're not true. You're not genuine. You know what I
Right.
mean? It's like, no,
Right.
bro, this is the good life, dude. This is easy, bro. This is what I'm meant to be, man. And like, I look back to like this time around, like when I was getting sober or like getting close to getting sober, bro. And I just remember I was hanging out with this one dude, man. We'd be standing on his balcony at like 3 a.m. I'd just be sitting there like, dude, I'm better than this, bro. Like, I want to have a family. I want kids. Like, I know I'd be a good dad. You know what I mean? And he's probably looking at me like, bro, you're fucking high.
You're high.
Dude. You know what I mean? He's like, here, take another hit, bro. You know what I mean? Like, do I go do a shot of Coke? Yeah, for sure. Okay, good dad. You know what I mean? Like, get out of here, bro.
Right.
You know, but like deep down, I just always knew that I always knew I was meant for more, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I didn't know how to do it, man. Like the biggest thing for me was I just felt stuck. Like I just couldn't, nobody was sober, bro. Like nobody, like I didn't have any good role models. I didn't have like everything that I knew was just party, chaos, like destruction, like, you know what I mean? Self-sabotage. Like that's like all I really knew, you know? So it was just, I just felt stuck, bro. I felt like I couldn't get out. I felt like I didn't know how to get away from people. Like I'd want to get sober. I'd go detox at my mom's house and sleep it off for a few days. And I'd wake up and the first phone call, I'd be like, well, hey bro, what are you doing? You know, there we are again, you know, it's like, but I wanted to, man, or else I wouldn't even have left the pad in the first place, you know, but it's like, I didn't know how to get away from it. That's why I went to Thailand, bro. I was like, oh, well, maybe if I just get away, you know?
Yeah.
So in, I think it was September, I went to Thailand, dude, and I stayed out there for like almost a month and a half and just running around Thailand by myself. And when I got there, dude, I got off the plane, like, dude, I like at the beach, I'm like, what is that? And I saw like a black, like little squiggly line in my eyeball the first day. And I'm like, that's weird, dude, you know? Well, progressively through my like month and a half there, it like got worse and worse. So I'm like, shit, I have to come home. Like I had a job lined up at like, I was going to be a security guard at a bar in Thailand, bro, 6 months out of a year. And then come home and,
I look like
work,
a giant out there.
work here. Oh dude, it's crazy, you know, work here 6 months out of a year. And, dude, I get home to get my eye checked out and I'm messaging. That's how I met my wife. I was messaging her on Facebook when I was in Thailand. And she was like, dude, my wife is wild, bro. You look at her rap sheet and you'd be like, dude, that's yours and that's yours. I'm like, nope, switch them. Like my wife, like, she was about the business, you know, and like very pretty. I mean, I wasn't even attracted to her, dude, up until I started seeing her pictures and like I saw that she was sober when I was in Thailand. I'm like, there's no way. And I was like out there trying to get sober. I'm like, hey, like started messaging her. I'm like, hey, like, cause we had met in Huntington when she was partying and I was partying, but she was way worse than me at the time. This was like when I was kind of like managing my life. And she was another one of those people like myself that like everybody was like, she'll never get sober. You'll never get sober. You know, one of those people like, dude, you're done.
Yeah.
You're doomed. You know what I mean? And, dude, she was like celebrating like 6 months sober. Like, there's no way, dude. You know what I mean? I was like, hey, like, She was hiking and stuff. And like, she looked like unrecognizable. I was like, dude, she's bad. You know, I'm like messaging her like, hey, like I'm in Thailand trying to get sober, you know, like I'm going to be coming home. Like, do you want to hang out? She's like, yeah, for sure. And like now looking back, I don't even understand. I don't even know why, dude, because she is so reserved, bro. Like she didn't give anybody the time of day, like in her sobriety. She was so good in her sobriety, early sobriety. She was so focused on her and like goal driven of like staying sober and getting her daughter back and stuff that like, I don't even know why she gave me a chance like that early in sobriety. But so I got back and, immediately relapsed. I left, and when I left for Thailand, dude, I left like a bunch of stuff at the house and like came back to my mom's house and she like cleaned everything, but like a bunch of crack and a bong still sitting by my bed. So immediately relapsed and, just back on it, dude. And, dude, it just didn't stop. You know what I mean? And, I couldn't figure it out.
How many times did you go back and forth like that? Where you'd be sober for a month, 2 months,
when I came back from Thailand, it was like every couple weeks because she was sober and I was hanging out there and I was like, yeah, I'm like doing good. And then I was doing bad. And then I was just bouncing like back and forth, trying to stay sober so that she wouldn't leave me, you know? And then, I did that for a few months and she was in drug court and dude, I almost got her in a lot of trouble, man. I was still running around doing dumb stuff, dude, and almost got her in a lot of trouble. And she was like, dude, like you either give me an ultimatum. She's like, you either gotta get sober or like I gotta move on, you know. And this was after like 3 months, and so I ran away from her a couple of times. Like she had me set up to go to detox, and I just shut my phone off and like disappear and say that I fell asleep. And then turn back on a couple of days later. And then finally I just, I committed to it. I'm like, well, dude, I didn't want to get sober, but I didn't want to lose her and I didn't want to die, you know? So that was like what really pushed me into getting sober. And I had no intention of like really getting sober for myself at the time. Like I was scared. I was scared of like the thought of sobriety. I'd been running for so long that I didn't really know how to live any other way. And it like gave me like anxiety, like future tripping on being sober, you know? And I went to detox. She dropped me off December 28th of 2016 at a detox in San Clemente. Detoxed, and then New Year's Day I got sent out to rehab in Lake Arrowhead and went up there for a 30-day inpatient program. She would come up on the weekends with my mom, visit me. Super cool facility, amazing facility. Like, you know what I mean? Got a really good structured program and came back, continued treatment for like 2 weeks at an intensive outpatient. And I had to get back to work. My disability had ran up and I was on disability for my eye. And so I ended up going completely blind in my eye. I completely got sidetracked from that story. I ended up going completely blind in my eye before I got sober. When I came back from Thailand, seeing the doctor. So the doctor said that I had an infection in my retina, you know, and he said that, you know, that it could have been from IV usage of drugs or whatever. At the time, I was like, she was feeling my arms when I started dating my wife. When I came back from Thailand, she started like feeling my arms. So she like knew that I was getting high, but like she didn't want to believe it because she loved me and she like genuinely could see that I wanted to get sober. And I kept like trying like for her, you know, I didn't want to for me, but I wanted to for her. So I didn't want to lose her. So I kept like putting on this front, like, yeah, I'm going to get sober and like do a couple of days. So she would like always rub my arms and like we joke about it. Cause she's like, what, no, like, I'm like, I know what you're doing. So I started shooting up in my neck, you know, like, and my eye doctor said that it's probably from shooting up in your neck, you know? And so I got a infection in my eye, so I had to get eye surgery and stuff before I got sober, you know? So my disability ran up and I had to go back to work.
So you can't see out of your eye?
No. So I can. Once they drained all the pus, the only thing is like, if I close my eye, there's like a little tiny like fuzzy spot, like right where the initial infection was. But once they drained all the pus out, they got all the pus out of my eye and I got sober right after my surgery, so it actually ended up healing, and I ended up getting my vision back. I have 20/20 with two eyes open, which is crazy. If I close one, it's really screwed up because right in the middle is where the dot is. So when they tell you like at the DMV, they're like, "Oh, cover one eye," dude, it lands right where with both eyes. I'm 20/20, but if I close this one, it lands right where the letter is, you know. So it just barely screws me up, you know, but. So got my vision back and like, so I had to go back to work like, probably like 45 days into like being sober, you know? So, yeah, man, I went back to work. We got an apartment together, dude, just did everything that you're not supposed to do in early recovery.
I was going to say that's pretty dangerous, right? Two addicts getting together.
And, like per the program of like AA, like I went against all odds and like we did everything like that you're not supposed to do, you know, like,
Yeah.
so the first, 45 days, like, I think, probably, yeah, like 45 days into sobriety, like right when I got out, like I had a bunch of money from disability. So we landed this place in Laguna Niguel, which is cool because it was just far enough away from Huntington to where I could kind of stay away. So I got a place in Laguna Niguel. We got an apartment, and dude, and then February of 2017, I proposed to her. 2 days later, we got married at a courthouse. And then we found out she was pregnant with my daughter in April. So within like the first 4 months of my sobriety, you know, and like
life changed.
Yeah.
Big time.
Quick, you know. And it was really crazy, dude, because she didn't even know like who I was sober. I didn't even know who I was sober. You know what I mean? And I don't know why she was with me at the time, you know, because dude, I wasn't a good person, you know, like the person that I was in my addiction, like, dude, I was just lying, partying, like doing stupid stuff, you know. I just know that like God used her to help get me sober. And I mean, dude, the fact that we grew together is like, honestly, just like, it's a miracle from God, you know, because I didn't know who I was. She didn't know who I was. You know what I mean? Like I was so just, so caught up in my addiction, and that it's like, dude, you're not who you really are, you know? So, and, so we had my daughter, and it's like, dude, in 2018, we got Jennifer Hosoi, Christian's wife, was inviting us to church. You know, my wife's like, hey, like, do you want to go to church? And I'm like, sure. You know, like, she's like, yeah, my friend Jennifer, she's sober. She keeps inviting me. So that's how.
Had you ever been to church?
No, never in my life.
Brand new experience.
Brand new.
And you're just like, yeah, let's just go. Whatever. Friends are inviting us. We'll go check it out.
Yeah. Yeah. She was like, oh, it's like a good friend of mine. And we were going through a custody battle with my stepdaughter at the time. And so it kind of seemed like a good time to like cling on to something, you know? And like, I always like believed in God, but I never had a relationship. I never went to church. Not once in my whole life did I ever go to church with my mom, my family, nothing.
Wow.
So it's like, I always believed in God. I always knew that there was a God, but I just never had a relationship, you know? And so that just kind of, at that time, it just kind of seemed like a good opportunity to like take advantage of that, because we're going through stuff, and like, you know, like it's really easy, bro, to like put your trust and your faith in God, like when you're going through something, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's easy to pray, and you know what I mean, when you're really like going through something, you know? And yeah, man, that was where I got saved, and like where I really developed a relationship with God. And it's crazy, dude, because I think that is like really the one thing. So like, I don't have any desire to get high anymore. I don't have any desire, any want to use, to drink. Like, there's never been a time where like my wife and I get in a fight, and like back in the day, it's like the first thing I do is like go get high. You know what I mean? And like, I can honestly say that obsession has been removed from my life. Wow. And like, I've had people like that I've had conversations with, like, that are like, dude, like, what changed? I'm like, well, my relationship with God. That's the only thing that's changed. I've had women that I've loved before. I've had people try to get me sober, family. Nothing has ever done it. No, that obsession has never been removed. I've tried, you know what I mean? AA, NA, you know, I've always just been obsessed with drugs and alcohol, you know, and just partying. And that's like, and I tell everybody, like, anybody who asks me that question, I go, my relationship with God. Like, I got saved, and like, that's the only thing that could really that's the only thing that changed this time around in my sobriety. Out of every other time that I tried to get sober, the 12 to 24 times in my life that I kept bouncing back in and out of sobriety, that like, something actually changed. That's the only thing that changed, was I developed a relationship with God. You know,
do you think if you didn't develop the relationship, it would have been easier to go back?
Yeah.
You think
absolutely.
You would have desired, like, it would have came up?
Once you start knowing God and you start getting into His Word, bro, like, you just have that guilt, man. Like, you're constantly thinking, like, you know, like, you're like, dude, if I do this, bro, there. Like, yeah, you know, like, God's not going to be happy with me. Like, I want to go to heaven, bro. I want eternal life with my family and my loved ones, bro. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I don't want to make God mad. Like, I want to please him. I want to be more Christ-like. That's what we want as followers of Christ, right? Like, we strive to be better, man. Like, it's personal development. It's like it's what the Bible says to do, you know? So like, yeah, there's always that like thought of like, you know, where if I didn't have that relationship, it was very easy to live a sinful life. You know, it's a lot harder now. Trust me, I'm still a sinner. Don't get me wrong. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you know, but it's a lot easier to live that sinful life, man, when you don't have that relationship. And I didn't know anything about him, you know, for sure.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think having that encounter, having that, you know, God in your life, Jesus in your life really will keep you in check. You know?
100%.
You got to do the work.
Mm-hmm.
You got to do your part, and he'll bring you in, but you got to really put your all in there and be like, okay, I need to draw near to Christ.
Yeah.
I need to be near to him, and he'll do his part. But I think that encounter, that was the difference. And I think that's a huge part of your story, because I think that's what made the change. That's what eventually helped you get over the hump.
Yeah. Yeah, I really do think so too, you know. And it's just been amazing, man. I'm so blessed with like such an amazing wife. Like I said, like we've just grown together, like in our faith, like fitness wise, like it's always one of us leading the other. And there's never like any question of like, there's never been a time where I'm like, oh, well, like I'm going to go do this. And she's like, all right, go ahead. Like you go do your own thing. Like, we've done everything together and everything as a family. So if I have like this idea of doing this, like she's always right there with me. You know what I mean?
That's awesome. That's the way it should be.
So I can honestly say that like that's like I got a true ride or die, right?
Yeah.
You know.
So if somebody sees you in Huntington on Main Street, they hadn't seen you guys in a long time, are they looking at you like, what happened to this guy? Have you ever ran into somebody and they're like, I haven't seen this dude in a long time. I don't really recognize him. What's going on?
No, for the most
change
part,
life.
bro. You know how social media is, man. Like, there's a lot of people like I haven't seen in like even since I've gotten sober. But you know, like so we have everything at our fingertips now, man. It's so easy to follow people's lives. You know what I mean?
Right.
You still got the people like that come up like, "Hey, what's up, Jones?" And like my wife dies because that was like my handle back in the day because I was just like a Joneser, man. Like, there's like multiple pictures of me like carpet surfing, like digging through the carpet at like 2 a.m. with a headlamp on, like trying to find like rocks in the, dude, with like underwear split in half, like just, dude, grungy, you know? But, no, I mean, everybody pretty much like for the most part, it's like, you know, they follow my life and really it's just like, oh, I'm proud of you. You know what I mean?
That's awesome.
Like I haven't gotten someone that's like, I've never gotten someone that's like, hey bro, like let's go out and have a drink. You know, usually it's like, dude, I'm really proud of you, because I don't think anybody ever really thought that I would get sober and I'll get my shit together. So when they do see me, it's like, dang, like congratulations, you know?
Now, when you look at yourself, do you say, man, this is crazy? Do you ask yourself, like, I never thought I'd be here?
100%, man. I was just having this conversation with a kid on my 9 years in the gym, dude. This kid, such a great kid, man. And he's struggling. He just got arrested at 20. He had one beer. And he was driving and hit a cop, and he blew like a .04 or something, you know, like legal limit for a 21-year-old, but he was 20. So he was like having to go to jail, and like he's been sober, and like it was just crazy. I was talking to him like on my 9 years of sobriety in the gym, and it really is surreal, man. I look at those times like when I was first introduced to AA, and I just remember sitting in the rooms like with people taking like a year birthday or 2 years. And I'm just like, dude, how did you do it? That's so amazing. You know what I mean? Like, bro, how do you stay sober that long? Like, couldn't even wrap my head around it that time.
Yeah.
Like, no idea. Like, dude, how the heck did this dude stay sober for 2 years? That's crazy. You know, then it's like, then they would relapse like 6 months later. It's like, dude, you had so much time. How'd you do that? You know? Yeah. And then I was that guy that relapsed at 2 years. You know what I mean? So it's, dude, it's a disease, man. And I mean, it's very easy to get caught on that wrong side, you know? And I just try and stay like putting in the work, man, working on myself, growing, trying to be better, trying to help people, you know, faith, fitness, like, dude, I just really try to stay connected in all avenues, man. Like, that's the best. That's the thing that I've found to work the best for me.
That's awesome, man. You know, I see you growing your fitness coaching online.
Yeah.
You know, like you said, it's sobriety. faith, fitness, all mixed into one. A lot of guys will do, fitness only.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of guys do, maybe do a little bit of sobriety and fitness, but you're tying faith in there now. At a time when, I know a lot of coaches, had a lot of coaches on this show, great guys.
Mm-hmm.
I notice some of them now, they tie more faith into that. And this is just my observation, but I think when you have the sobriety and kind of conquer something, when you have the fitness and you feeling good, right? There's always like one thing that's maybe missing in there, and I always feel like, yeah, those are all great things. Or the business is going well, the family's going good, you're feeling good, you're looking good, and then it's like, but what am I missing? I had a coach in here one time, and I was like, you got all the tools. You're doing great. You're disciplined. You put your mind to something, you want to do it. But if a lot of the principles that you're using are in the Bible, there are a lot of the principles you use are for godly men. If you put God in there, like, dude, you got it.
Yeah.
And I've been blessed because a lot of the guys that I know that are coaches, like they're going to that now, and they're being unashamed to say, yeah, I still needed something else.
Yeah.
I still and you see, there's been some coaches where they've fallen off, where they're not as big as they used to be because it's not just about me, or it's not just about how I look or how I feel or how much money I make. It's really who I'm following, and it's Jesus, and then how I help other people, because programs and everything, they're good and they're effective. I'm not saying anything's bad with them, but there's something about when you find faith and you tie that in, it just makes everything even sweeter. I wanted to let you know that this podcast is brought to you by Elevate Ministries. Elevate Ministries is an authentic, passionate, and innovative church in the heart of Orange County, California. They strive to make their services welcoming and encouraging by intentionally engaging you in all senses to stimulate a spiritual hunger. If you're looking for a great church that's on a mission to change the world one person at a time, I encourage you to check them out at www.elevateministries.com and on Instagram at Elevate Ministries. It holds you more accountable too, personally, inside.
Oh, absolutely, man. And that's the biggest thing, bro. Every morning that I pray, man, I just pray to God, and especially having a faith-based clothing company now, that we keep God at the center, you know? So, we left COVID around 2021, we left the sanctuary, and we were like, oh, we're going to go, God put on our heart to go find another church, and my wife and I tried a bunch of churches. We tried Oceans, we tried Mariners, we tried Saddleback, they were all amazing. But there's just, when God's calling you, dude, you get that feeling, right? And they're just, none of them were a good fit. You know what I mean? We just didn't feel that family vibe, that home vibe. And so for a couple years, we were trying to bounce around between churches and trying to find a home church, and nothing really stuck, and we were getting I at least was almost getting a little discouraged, dude, this sucks, because there's a certain power when you're worshiping and when you're praising God with a community of people. You know what I mean? Right. I would drive to work every morning and I would worship. I'd put worship music on in my car. I'd pray, my wife and I went and saw Elevation worship together. You know what I mean? The worship was there, but there's something about having a church and worshiping with people in church and getting the word from a pastor. It just hits totally different, right. And so we were stuck in between churches, and this summer, man, I had straight away, I kind of lost my connection with God, not bad, you know what I mean? But I just I got caught up on worldly things. I was really heavily into cryptocurrency, and I got caught up day trading, and dude, I just lost track of what was important. I wasn't praying. I wasn't reading the Bible. And dude, at the end of summer, I took a really disgusting financial hit. And I just felt like a failure to my family. And it was just me. Every conversation with my wife, I was like, I did this. I got us. I invested the money. I took the risk. I took the loan out. I worked to pay off the loan. I did this. I did that. Me. And God just humbled me hard, bro. You know what I mean? Like, it isn't you. And it never was me. Those were things that he was blessing me with, and I didn't see the blessing, and I wasn't honoring him and giving him the glory. And dude, I got stripped of it quick, bro. Big old slice of humble pie. You know what I mean? And I was like, dude, like it was bad, you know? And I was like, and then I went into like a deep depression at the end of this summer. And I was like, dude, like I just felt like a failure to my family. I robbed my family. I stole, dude, just gambling away money, day trading, you know? And I just, dude, I woke up, dude, if I could have cried, I would have, dude. I didn't know how to cry. I was so in shock, but I just woke up in the middle of the night and all that money was gone. And I was just like begging God. I'm like, why? Downstairs screaming like, why did you do this? I know that there's a reason why, you know? And it was crazy, bro. A week before that happened, I realized I was straying away from God. And I started reading. I started praying. I'm like, God, please guide me. Please strengthen me. I know I've strayed away from you. Like, please bring me back to you. Please just show me the way. Like, guide me and strengthen me.
He said, no problem.
Yeah, I got you, bro. You know?
But good dads do that, right?
Yeah.
It's not a punishment. It's a discipline to bring you back in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's sometimes
100%, man.
You're a father. I'm a father. You have to do hard things sometimes, and we don't like doing those things, but they're important for our children.
Yeah.
And sometimes God's like, okay, that's enough. Yeah. Let me bring you back in the fold
for
here.
Sure, dude. And, you know, it's like, at first, dude, I didn't know how to handle it, bro. Like I wasn't eating. I just like, you know, I had to break that to my wife the first thing in the morning. You know, like that I just lost all this money and, you know, and this and that. And, you know, like I was like, oh, God's testing me, you know? And I kept praying and I kept, you know, I was like talking to Jimmy's older brothers, like really in the word, dude. And I was just like, Mitch, like, please help me. Like, he's like, oh, well, you just got to have faith. And like, you just got to, and I'm like, I do have faith. I know it happened for a reason. And like, he was just like, you know what I mean? And I just kept praying and kept trusting God. I kept telling him, I'm like, I know there's a reason for this. I know, but I couldn't eat, you know what I mean? And it's like, dude, when I kept saying, oh, like God was just testing me. And like, when I took that from like, God was testing me and I turned it into God was trying to teach me a lesson was when like everything changed in my mind. You know what I mean? Because like, dude, we found our home church, you know, like we found our home church. We got connected to the church. All these blessings have come since then. And, I really do believe that it's just like that all had to happen in order to see like what was really important in life. You know what I mean? Like it's just, it's very easy to get caught up on like the worldly things and like forget about like what's really important. You know, like there's people out there fighting for their life and I'm worried about some money and he didn't even take everything from me. You know what I mean? Like it's not like I was left broke. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like we're still doing very well. It was just like a huge hit. And it's just like, man, like, bro, there's people dying of cancer. There's people that don't have limbs. And I'm just like, bro, I'm that selfish when I'm worried about money. Like, what am I doing, dude? You know, like that's how far that I'd strayed away from him to where that's what I was worried about was the money, you know?
Do you think you have an addictive personality?
Oh, no, not at all.
Where you get involved in something and it just, you know, drugs, fitness, money, you know what I mean? And you just get, you know, I think you're honest about that where it's like, okay, God has me on a leash now where he's only going to let me have things little by little. Cause if not, I want everything.
So at first, dude, at first, man, like when I first started like the trading thing, like I had no desire to get into it. I knew how dangerous it was trading with leverage, you know, and like, you know, but at first when I got into it, like the first week, bro, I made like 30 grand. And I was like, oh, this is freaking awesome, bro. Like a week, I'm like, dude, I'm hanging out with my kids. I took the whole summer off work. Like, dude, I just made 30 G's in a week. Like like, what's up, guys? You know what I mean? I'm a professional trader, bro.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay. That was the last win that I had. You know what I mean? So yeah, it was definitely, bro, like, you know, and like when you get a taste of that, like easy money, man,
Sure.
like yeah, it just, you know, like I thought that I could just keep doing it. And I thought I knew how the markets moved. And I watched all these videos and YouTube, and dude, I've been studying crypto for 5 years. Like, I know I paid for mastermind courses. Like, dude, you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
you don't know what the market's going to do, bro.
Yeah,
All Trump has to do is push one tweet button, like war with China, tank 100%, 90% in one day,
yeah.
bro. You know what I mean? One tweet from him, man, and he just nuked the market so many times, bro. Dude, that tweet button, bro, robbed me of a lot of money.
It's doing good now, bro. So don't go back. But don't get too caught up now.
No, dude, no, man. I, you know, like I promised my wife after that point, I was like, hey, like, you know, I'm really sorry. Like, I will. This is our money. And I realized, like, at that point, that that guilt of like feeling like I robbed my family, I kept saying it was me. Right. Well, it was at that point when I was having that conversation with my wife, telling her I just lost X amount of money, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That I was like, this isn't my money. This is our money. So I will not make another decision without you. Like, anything that I'm thinking about, yes, I do have the knowledge of crypto, but when I, you know, because she told me, bro, when I just got into this trade, like this trade that I opened up, she's like, dude, I have a bad feeling about it. You should get out. But it had went down so fast that I couldn't get out because I would have already lost so much money. Well, it would have been about 1/10 of what I really lost in the end if I would have just taken that loss. But I just didn't take her word for it. I'm like, you don't know. It's going up. I know everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I was like, okay. So
to a lot of people.
At that point, dude, I was like, okay, like everything's going to be us now. You know, like I separated us, and I didn't have God at the center. And I just, dude, I was disconnected, man. I thought, you know what I mean? Like when you're playing God, bro, like he reminds you, you know what I mean? Like,
he has
when it's me, dude, like he'll
a way of humbling us,
yeah,
right?
100%.
It's a good thing.
It is.
So who's Dave Thomas today?
Dude, I mean, my identity today, bro, is I'm a father, man. Like that is my, I'm a child of God. And I'm a father, dude, and that is my real identity. And everything else after that is just bonus points, I think. You know what I mean? But yeah, my goal, man, is to just help as many people as I can achieve sobriety and fitness, and lead as many people to God as I can. You know, I pray every morning, dude, that God just use me however He wants. You know what I mean? Use me to bring light to the darkness, and use me to bring people to you. You know what I mean? Whether it be through social media, our clothing company, my fitness program, whatever it is, man, like just please use me. You know what I mean? Use me however you want. And so yeah, dude, that's my goal, man. That's I just want people to experience that kind of love. You know what I mean? Like I heard someplace that I don't know where it came from, but you know, I feel like we're all born with that a God-sized hole in our heart. You know what I mean? And it's like we spent so many years trying to fill it with drugs, alcohol, women, cars, you know what I mean? You name it, Harleys. Nothing ever satisfied it, bro, until I literally got saved in 2018 and I experienced the true love of God. Wow. You know what I mean? And it's changed my life, dude. It's changed my family's life. Like my daughter at night now, like when we go, like she comes in my room, and if I'm laying on my bed, she's like, Daddy, you going to come in and pray with me? My 8-year-old daughter. And it's like, you know, we pray together, and now she starts with a prayer, and her prayer is my prayer. You know what I mean? Like she's sitting there like, thank you for this, and thank you for that, and thank you for our house and our church, and thank you for our pastor. And it's like, it's my prayer, but in her words, you know what I mean? And then she's like, okay, Daddy, your turn. You know, and then the next night I hear like another little piece of it. And she's like, she'll be like, Daddy, that was a good one. I'm like, baby, there is no such thing as a bad prayer. All your prayers are perfect. That is just you talking to God. Yeah. You know what I mean? So, I just want to be the best role model that I can for my kids, man. I don't want my kids to grow up and ever give them that opportunity to be like, my dad was the reason why I turned out like this, or my dad, you know what I mean? Right. Like, I don't want, like, my daughter, my 8-year-old, I mean, my stepdaughter, my 14-year-old, you know, I got sober when she had just turned 5. And so she vaguely remembers, like I told her we were on a work trip, like, cause she came up and saw me. I was in the mountains, like ton of snow that year, you know? So we like played in the snow, and she thought I was on a work trip, but she like vaguely remembers that version. She doesn't remember that version of me. She didn't remember me being who I was. She just like remembers like little bits and pieces, like, oh, the work trip, like that's when you're in rehab, you know, cause she's 14 now. She knows, you know? And, but like my daughter, my 8-year-old, has never seen me drunk. She's never seen me high. She's never seen a beer in the fridge. She's never seen me throwing up in the middle of the night or up till 2 a.m. She'll never know that version of me. You know what I mean? And that's what I take pride in. I take pride in the fact that every single day I show up and I'm the best version of myself that I can be for my kids. And so as long as I can live that life and keep this going, I will never give them that same story that I'm able to tell about my dad, of being like, oh, well, my dad got high with me and my dad locked me out of the garage, and, you know, like give that therapist someday that excuse to blame it on me. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like that'll never be an option, bro. Yeah. Like, I'm sorry.
That's amazing, bro, because you have a lot of dads out there, you know, and they're not good dads.
I know.
And they blame it on because they didn't have a dad.
Dude, isn't that bro, you know how many times I've gotten into it with people over that? Like, oh, well, you know, I yell at my kids. I'll beat my kids because my dad did that. It's like, so how did you like it, bro? So you're going to tell me that you're going to continue this bad behavior, bro, because that's why you were treated that way? It's like, no, bro. Like, you want to know what I used to say? I used to say, I'm never going to be that kind of dad, because that's how my dad, I'll never treat my kids like that. I'll never do that. I'll never leave my family, dude. Right. I will never not pay child support. If my wife and I, for some reason, did not work out, I will never not pay child support, because I watched what it did to my family, to my mom, to my brothers and sisters. Like, you know what I mean? Like, no, man, you're 100% right, bro. There's a lot of people that use that as an excuse, and it's like, bro, that should be your excuse to be better.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, bro, it is our job to break those generational curses, man, to strive to be better. You know what I mean? Right. It's like, where's the world going to be if all of us just keep going backwards because of the way that we're treated? Come on, dude.
Yeah, it's a big problem nowadays. You know what I mean? And I love your motivation behind that. And that's how you should take the negative and make it into a positive, especially when you're passing it on to the next generation.
Yeah,
it's important.
Oh, absolutely. And I think that, man, the generation of kids now, I think that like sobriety is getting more cool. What you got, like, a lot of, it's like there's like a revival going on, and then like you got this sobriety revival going on, where it's like sobriety is like almost like cool now, you know. Fitness is cool, you know. So we didn't have that growing up. What was cool when we were kids was the partying, the surfing, the drugs, the, you know, like the fighting. Like, that's what was cool, you know. So I definitely think that like that we need to take advantage of this time, and like the youth diving into Jesus and diving into their relationship with God, and like really push them into it and show them like it is cool. It is okay to be loud about your faith. It is okay to say that you love Jesus. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you have to normalize that, you know?
Yeah.
So
fitness, why is fitness so important to you, man?
Dude, it's just, it's really been the foundation of like my sobriety, man. You know, like, people.
Did you have to replace the addiction of drugs with maybe an addiction to stay fit?
Yeah,
I always say men need something.
Something,
right?
100%.
It doesn't have to be the weights, but it could be running. We talked about jiu-jitsu earlier. It could be something, but do something physical.
It hurt so much. Yeah. Oh man, I remember going to bed, bro, when I was training, and I was just like, dude, I would lay in bed, and I'm just like, oh, it felt like I got ran over by a truck, dude. I'd just be laying there.
When I first started, my wife used to say, "Why are you doing this to yourself?" Because if you get up, you're still going tonight? Yeah, I'll be fine.
But no, man, for sure, dude. It's just fitness for me, bro. It's a place that I escape mentally, and it's weird, dude, because I'm in the gym. I don't listen to music. I don't even have AirPods in, nothing. I just go there, and that's like my therapy session, dude. I go there and I have to be there 7 days a week. Even my days off are like cardio and abs, you know. I just I love being there. I love like the progressive, like there's no there's no ending in fitness. You're always striving to be better. You're always tweaking your workouts. You're always changing your nutrition to try and like, okay, well, dude, I got super lean. Well, okay, let's see where I could go bulking. And it's like you're constantly like, it's a never ending progression. Like you're just always trying to be better, you know? Yeah. And it's the discipline factor. Dude, it's just, you know, like dude, there's days like I just went through it. It happens like every few months, you know, where I just get horrible workouts, dude. And it's like, I just keep showing up and it'll happen for like a week or two. And I'm just like, and then finally like one day, boom, it's snap out of it, you know, but it'll be like a week or two of just like, dude, horrible workouts, you know? And it's the discipline and just consistency of just showing up no matter what, man. And just knowing like sometimes, dude, I'll be there for 3 hours and sometimes I'll show up and I won't want to be there. I'll be there for 45 minutes. I'm like, come on, push through. Nah, it didn't really work. Well, I showed up, man. You know what I mean? Like, just get out of here, bro. I don't want to hurt myself. Like you feel like you know what I mean? I feel like I'm going to hurt myself. Like, I'm going to go home. I'll try again tomorrow. But at least I showed up. Yeah. I showed up, and it's kind of the same thing with sobriety, bro. You have to show up every day. You know what I mean? Like, you have to put on that armor, man. Like, you have to be ready for war, dude, because life throws curveballs, dude. And if you're not prepared for it, dude, you get caught offside, man. You know what I mean? And you're going to get, you're going to end up right back where you once were, you know? So it's just like that, always trying to be better. Right. You know?
Just like our salvation, right?
Yeah.
It kind of goes along the same lines.
Oh, 100%.
We're never perfected. No. We're always striving for perfection, but we're working our way to it, you know, and one day we will be, but got to keep pushing through.
Exactly.
Hey, lastly, man, before you go, your brand, tell me a little bit about your brand.
Okay, dude. So Chosen Society. So we just dropped, Friday. So 5 days ago. So my wife and I, my wife in like 2019, she started with Jen Hasoy. They started a YouTube channel and they just started like telling their story, like how they got sober. They just wanted to like start a YouTube and kind of tell the stories of how they got sober. And then, you know, then she, my wife started what was Reborn Apparel, and we were more sobriety based. Like we went like really heavy on sobriety. We had a few shirts, like we had a Choose God shirt, and we had a Isaiah verse on one of our shirts. And then after this summer, we wanted to, I was always more focused on my crypto than I was like putting money into the clothing. For me, the clothing was just like whatever. It was like a passion project for my wife. I never was like, oh, like we're gonna try and do something with this. It was a way to stay connected to the sober community. It was a way to like have conversations with people that are sober. It was a good connection, but to me, like I just never was like, oh, like this is gonna be something. And I cared more about trying to get rich off of crypto than I did putting money into our clothing company, you know. And like my wife was all about it, you know, and I wasn't funding it. I was very selfish with the funds like that. And after the summer, after that big hit, like we wanted to like rebrand, and like we were like, we got connected with our home church in Huntington, and like we were just like, dude, we want to go more faith-based. Like we want to do more faith and sobriety, but so we had sat down, we asked to have to go to dinner with Jimmy and Haley. You know, they're very successful. They're all their businesses.
Jimmy Queen?
Yeah. They're you know, their businesses have done really well and just they're great at marketing. So hey, like we wanted to get some like marketing tips. So we went out to dinner, had a great conversation, kind of told them our ideas, and they were helping us out like with just marketing, like our Instagram and like what we should do, you know. And then a couple days later, I dropped my daughter off at school and I stopped by his house. I saw his garage open, and he was like, hey man, like, you know, like, dude, I want to talk to you about something I've been thinking about the other night. Like, dude, I want to like help you guys as much as I can with Reborn. Like, dude, like, what would you think about like partnering up? He's like, I could do a lot more if we're partnered up, you know, because he's got his fitness, he's got peptides, he's got his own businesses, his own clothing company. Right. I was like, man, like, dude, that's awesome. So my wife and I's vision, like with Reborn, was always to we wanted to give back. Like if we were always like, if we blew up and if we start making money, like we want to like give back and like sponsor people into treatment. Like that was our goal, you know, was like to sponsor people. So it's like with that as our goal, I was like, well, dude, so I went home and like, dude, I pulled out like ChatGPT because this was like a passion project of my wife, you know, and even though like that's like our family, like they're our best friends. They're literally everything to us. You know what I mean? That family, the Queen family. So even though they meant so much to us, I know how much this meant to my wife. And I was like, dude, I just, you know, so I chat GPT. I'm like, hey, how do I talk to my wife about, you know, about partnering up with our best friends? Like this is her passion project, like da-da-da. So chat GPT is like, oh, okay. You know what I mean? So I took, I'm like, okay. So I took chat GPT's advice and went to my wife. I'm like, hey, you know, like, what do you think about partnering up with Jimmy and Haley? She's like, well, she goes, yeah, I think it's a conversation to have. And she goes, honestly, like, there's nobody that would ever partner up with on our business other than them. They're the only people. So like, yeah, like, I think that'd be great. I'm like, well, dude, my mind is like, we've always wanted to help people. I'm like, with how good they are with their marketing and stuff and like business, like, I think that this would be a good way to get to our goal of like being able to help people, you know? So, and she was like, no, I agree, you know? And, so then we rebranded into Chosen Society. You know, that was like a name that we all came up with together. And, we just, dude, it's kind of just our story together. You know what I mean? Like we just have like us being partners together in this business just kind of tells like who we are because we've just grown together. So it's kind of like, it's honestly like brought us together even more. Because, you know, like life gets crazy, life gets busy. And now like having this business together, like we're in a group chat, like we're definitely like more connected. And I think that it's built our relationship just through the craziness of life. So yeah, man. So our goal is to just, put out the good word of God and, you know, really keep him at the center and just keep putting out like dope fashion that like represents God in our walk with Christ and standing strong in our faith, you know?
Yeah.
So
I think it's great. I think it's a good brand.
Yeah.
You guys are doing a good job on it.
Thank you, dude.
I see you getting out of your little comfort zone, and I saw your video the other day. It was like 10 takes. I was like, that was legit when you put it out there like that. I was laughing. I was like, he's just keeping it real. You don't want to know how many takes I take.
There's just something when that you know, so my 9 years of sobriety, the last blooper reel I put out was 117 blooper reels. And that was only the bad ones, bro. That wasn't the 20 that it took to put it together. And it was hard to do because trying to give 25 years of addiction into a 90-second video or a 3-minute video, you know what I mean? Was hard. So I was trying to go from 12 years old all the way till now, till 36 years old. You know what I mean? So it's like trying to put all that together. So it was hard because your mind's like racing, like, dude, I want to hit the important parts. But yeah, I tried to upload it onto Instagram edits to make that blooper. And it was like 117, no joke. So, yeah, it's hard, man. Once that camera comes out,
different.
Once that camera comes out, it's just like, dude, I just can't. It doesn't work.
Hey, you did great.
My brain just stops.
You did great today, bro.
Thanks, dude. I appreciate it, man. Well, you're easy to talk to, so
I appreciate you coming out.
That one-on-one is just like totally different. You know what I mean?
I told you it would be different. Yeah. Just a conversation amongst friends. That's what I always say.
For sure, dude. Jimmy had nothing but good things to say about you. Right. So
I love Jimmy, man. It was great to have him here, and him and Chad came through, and it was cool, man. It was really good. And then when he said, you got to have my buddy on, man. He's some good people. And I was like, I'll check him out, man. I was like, I'll check him out. He's like, all right, cool. So
yeah, Chad's crazy, man. I've known Chad since I was 5, bro. That's my brother too, man. Cool. Absolutely love him, dude.
Yeah, good people, man. I love what you guys are doing, and not only
bro,
being successful and trying to create a business, but also giving back and telling your story. I think that makes it all worth it, and it puts a little extra on. Hey, if we're successful and we're able to provide for our family and live a good life, great. But if I'm able to give back and at least all the hurt and pain I went through, maybe keep somebody out of that, or maybe deter them away from that, or get them out of that, whatever it may be, I think that's even better. So I can tell you guys love doing that part.
That's the goal, man. Like that's, you know, I put out a video after. So like my 9 years of sobriety video went like, you know, it did really good, like on views and stuff. And like I put out a story, story the next day, a video on my story the next day, and I was like, you know, like I don't make these videos for kudos. I don't need anybody to tell me congratulations on my sobriety, like, because I don't do it for anyone else but myself, you know. But what comes out of you guys liking, sharing, and commenting is it gets in the algorithm and it gets to people that need it, bro. I've been talking to 2 kids, man, and 27 and 21, dude, and like one's coming off opiates, the other one was coming off of both of them detoxing right now. I reach out to him every single day still. I'm talking to him, but like, dude, I mean, these kids are like trying to they're detoxing on their own. 2 different kids from different states. One's in Arizona, one's in Michigan. And I'm talking to these kids and I'm able to talk them through it, bro. And they reach out to me on Instagram because of that video. And they're like, hey, man, like I would never reach out to anyone before, but I'm reaching out to you and I don't know why, bro. And I get on and I'm like, dude, it's just God, man. I hate to say it. You want to say you don't know why, but you know why. You know what I mean? Like, it's God, bro. You landed on my page and you reached out, and now here we are talking, dude. Like, you were meant to be here, bro. We're meant to be having this conversation. You're meant to make it through this. You're strong in this. Like, you got this, bro, you know?
That's right.
And that's what it's about, man. I love those conversations. Everyone probably like trips out because I'm like sitting there on my Instagram, like, and the comments of people like, oh, I just want to be sober. I'm like, dude, DM me. Yeah. DM me. Like, let's talk, bro. Let's talk. You know what I mean? Like, every single person that reaches out to me, it's like, oh, I'm thinking about getting sober. I don't know if I'm quite there. It's like, message me, bro. I'll try and get you there. I'll try and convince
Dave's
you.
Like, I've been there,
bro.
I've been there. I've done that, bro.
Dude,
I'll help you.
Yeah, I'll at least try and convince you. Like, this is the good life, bro. Like, I want everyone to live it, you know? Yeah. So
that's awesome, dude. Man. I think God's going to use you and your wife even more. And like you said, it'll be in the increments, but I think you're on your way, man.
Yeah, I hope he does. I don't want him to give me any more than I need, bro. I just want just enough to just what I need to get by, you know.
Hey, man, I appreciate you coming out, man.
I appreciate it, bro.
We do one last thing though, bro.
Okay, what?
We have a little fun, man. We do a thing called the Furious 5, and we ask you 5 furious questions. Are you ready?
Yeah, send it.
All right, send it. Question number 1 on the Street Gospel Furious 5. I think I asked Jimmy this question. Huntington Beach got 3 guys that are real tough guys, I guess you can say. Tito Ortiz, Chuck Liddell, Tank Abbott. If you had to have lunch with one of them, who would it be?
Well, I've already had lunch with Chuck, so I've had lunch with Tank, so I guess Tito. I don't know.
Oh dang, yeah.
I mean,
both already.
Yeah.
Well, hey,
my
who's the toughest? All in their prime, who would be the toughest?
In their prime?
In their prime.
Chuck, bro.
Chuck,
Come on, dude. Yeah.
Just had that punch, dude.
Yeah, Tank's been off for a long time, man. I remember seeing him 15 years ago at Aloha Grill, and unfortunately, bro, he hasn't looked good in a long time.
I think he's on I looked him up the other day, and he looks like he's on a right path. But I'll be honest with you, if I saw Tank walking down the street, I would not think that was him.
Yeah. But I think right now, Tito's probably in the best shape out of all of them for sure, hands down, you know?
Well, maybe not his mind. I'll send you this page. We're laughing. Me and my son there's this Tito page. It's wild, bro. All the crazy things that he says, and I'm just like, bro, it's funny. And then Dana White, of all people, comments every time. My boy, he's the first one, and it's Tito saying crazy stuff, right? Just me and him always laugh, and then Dana's the first one to comment, my boy, and I'm like, oh, he's cold, bro. Yeah, but that's dope. Question number 2 on the Street Gospel Furious 5. Another, if you can only pick one. Since you're from Huntington Beach, the beach, you only could pick one of these. What would it be? The beach cruiser, the skateboard, or the surfboard?
Surfboard.
Surfboard all day?
Yeah.
I thought it might be a little battle between the skateboard and the surfboard there.
No, dude, I'm not much of a skater, bro. I hurt myself every time I skate. I'd rather snowboard than skate for sure.
Really?
Yeah.
Snowboarding seems dangerous to me.
No.
Seems dangerous.
But yeah, definitely the surfboard, dude. I could walk down to the beach. I don't need a cruiser.
Screw that. I might get hit by a car.
Yeah.
Question number 3 on the Street Gospel Furious 5. If I go to Huntington Beach and we have lunch, where are you taking me, bro?
Board riders, bro.
Board riders?
Board riders. Board riders cafe. It's a must, dude.
It's a must, bro.
Oh my gosh.
I'm gonna have to go down there one day.
You have to.
I'm gonna have to go.
I'll
down
buy you
there.
lunch, bro. You come down. I'll buy you lunch.
I'll
How
go
about
down
that?
there, bro. Let's
All
do
right.
it. You show
We
me.
gotta hit breakfast though, bro. The
Breakfast
breakfast
is
is
it?
fire. Unless you're gonna go on Sundays, you come down on a Sunday, man. You gotta get their smash burgers. So
Smash burger?
Yeah, they only
Legit?
make them on Sunday. It's insane.
Dang.
Yeah, like board riders all day.
Really?
Boys, dude.
All
Yeah.
right. Question number 3 on the question number 4 on the Street Gospel Furious 5. Your favorite surfer of all time?
Bruce Irons.
Bruce Irons.
Yeah.
OG.
Yeah.
OG.
Yeah, he was dude. So my brother always loved Andy Irons, and I couldn't like the same surfer as my brother because my brother, you know what I mean? That brother.
So you like the
rivalry.
brother.
So I like so I like the wild brother, bro. Bruce is wild. You know what I mean? He just that rebel.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was me. So I have to say Bruce.
Bruce.
Yeah.
Last question. Question number 5. If this version of Dave could go back and tell 12-year-old Dave something, what would it be?
Oh man, don't do it. Don't do it, dude. Follow God, dude. Yeah.
You would
Live-
you would have been an Olympic swimmer right now, bro.
Yeah, those thoughts, those, you know what I mean, those desires, just stay away from them, dude. You know what I mean? That's all. I don't know.
Yeah. Looking back, everything that's probably happened to you, man, using it for God's glory and for good now makes it all worth it, I'm sure.
Yeah. Everything happens for a reason, brother. You know what I mean?
Appreciate you coming out, man.
Dude, I appreciate you, bro.
Bro, where can everybody find you, bro?
I'm on Instagram. That's the most active, dude.
What's your handle?
Mr._David Thomas. Yeah, I'm on the gram, most active, dude.
And then your brand. What's
Chosen Society.
all right,
Yeah,
check it out.
Chosen Society, dude.
Hey, if you want
Yeah, we
some
got some
fitness
good-
tips right here, Dave is
Let's
Dave is a
go.
beast, man.
Yeah, let's go.
Lean
dude.
and mean. I mean, he's just like a massive dude, man. I seen you, bro. You gotta leave your shirt on, bro, because I'm like,
Yeah,
I know.
know.
I'm just kidding. Nah. It's like, dude, I'm like, dude, this dude's
I
massive.
look a lot skinnier with my shirt on. I wear these nice oversized tees now that kind of hide everything. So.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, hey, one word. What's one word of advice for somebody that's starting the gym? It's January. What would you tell them?
Dude, nobody is watching you. Just go in and do you, dude. I think the total misconception with people is like everybody's always watching you and like anybody cares, like, you know, like what you're doing or whether you're doing it right. You know, like there's a lot of people, the most gyms that I go to and that I've seen, like there's a lot of people there that love and care about people, and if anything, they want to help you. They don't want to like push you in the wrong direction. You know what I mean? So a lot of people, I think that that they're sitting there thinking that everyone's looking at them all the time, when really, man, we're just in there trying to get our gains on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we're focused on us, you know? So yeah,
Get it done.
that's it.
Appreciate you. That'll conclude this episode of the Street Gospel Podcast with David Thomas, man. Go check him out, Chosen Society. Check him out online. You need help with sobriety. You need some encouragement. You need coaching, whatever you need, check him out. Definitely, I'll vouch for him, man. So we appreciate you guys. We love you. We out. Peace.